Hey, friends. I just heard word about the Homeland Security, federal government, creating a disinformation governance board. This is a law enforcement arm of the Department of Homeland Security that is there to police free speech. Basically, if they designate that information that you are putting out on the internet or in their own words, any other way to disseminate information. If it is what they declare disinformation, then they can use the force of law to arrest and to incarcerate you. And actually, we don't even know right now if they will even give you a trial or how their quote unquote due process will go. Um, this has never happened in the history of the United States before, not even close. We've always been protected by law that's been upheld by the First Amendment. And now we actually have an agency created by the Biden administration to actively seek what they would declare as disinformation. Things like someone saying that the COVID vaccine is dangerous. Um, Now, as you know, over the last couple of years, or at least a lot of you know, I've been fighting for free speech and for rights pretty heavily. I was arrested at the Capitol building in Idaho, the Idaho Capitol building, multiple times for being there, never being disruptive, never breaking any rules, simply for being there. When other individuals who are in power, particularly Governor Little and Scott Bedke, Speaker of the House, did not want me there because they did not want me to disrupt their plan in passing an immunity bill that would protect them against their COVID decisions. So I am a little bit, I guess, sensitive to using the force of law to censor speech. I've been actually arrested 8 times in the last couple years. Spent over 300 hours now incarcerated in solitary confinement or in terrible holding cells. And that's not to speak to the things that have happened to my family prior to this, where we spent 2 years in federal prison and never was convicted of even any crime. Why I bring that up is because it's not even so much of whether they can convict somebody of, disinformation. It's the fact that they can use the force of law against you for pretty much any reason now. Anything you say, anything you post, anything that you do, they can come and kick in your door, middle of the night or whenever, arrest you, throw you in a jail cell. And as we have seen with the January 6th debacle there in Washington, D.C., they can hold you for, months and months and months and even years before you can even get to a jury if you're ever allowed to get in front of a jury. And so the fact that they would enact this do this is a very dangerous thing to the people of Idaho and to the people of every state across this nation, across this country. So, the solution to this is we have to reject it. And I put a link here below. I'll put it in as soon as I do this video of Tucker Carlson explaining this disinformation governance board from the Homeland Security. He'll do a lot better job than I will giving you the details. He even outlines the danger of it, who they put in charge of it, and just how volatile and dangerous this is. This is political warfare. And if you don't understand political warfare, it's been going on for, centuries, thousands of years. And it's where they isolate their opponent so they can't speak, they can't reach out. And while they're isolated, they demonize them. And once they've demonized them enough to get the general public to believe what they are saying about their political enemy, then they can destroy them. So it's isolate, demonize, and destroy. And of course, they have to identify who their enemies are before, and they've done that through their process of COVID and so forth, identifying who is on board and who's not. They've done a pretty good job at that. Now they will isolate, which they're trying to do and have done. They've censored people off of platforms from sea to shining sea, and there's been other platforms that have been put up, and this Elon Musk and Twitter is a good example of that. They're terrified of people actually speaking out because they have been going through this process of isolating their political enemies. Once they're able to isolate them, then they will demonize them. They will, lie about them. And you have to understand the only thing that they have that's holding them up is lies, is actually disinformation. Now they've created this Homeland Security Disinformation Governance Board so that they can actually use the force of law to destroy their political enemies. It is a dangerous thing, and something that each person should be very concerned about, and something that they are, political enemies, those who want to destroy this country, the liberals, the Democrats, or however you want to categorize them. They need this in order to, use the force of law to stop anybody from speaking out against them. And so now, what is the solution here? Well, it's been the solution all along. The people have some choices. They can just completely unite against it. And I totally agree with Tucker Carlson. He says, we cannot accept this at all, zero. Now, that I might have been paraphrasing it. You can go and watch what he says, but we should not tolerate this at all, period. Our laws protect our right to speech. We should not tolerate it at all. And that is actually what I have been saying, and many, many others. I'm not alone, but that's what I've been standing for. That ultimately has put me in jail many, many times over this last couple of years. Now, back to the solution, people can just unite together and say no and protect themselves. They're going to have to defend themselves against, the raids of Homeland Security, those coming into their homes, the them looking into all our accounts and constantly tracking us and constantly you know uh, infringing upon our ability to communicate securely with each other. They're going to have to do all that, or I think even a better solution, one that the founders believed in and set up, is that the states say no. The state governments, the states' powers, the states say no, and then the states protect their people against the federal government, Department of Homeland Security, and this disinformation governance board, who's going to use the force of law to come down upon the people. And that is the role of the states, to protect the people. And that is why, again, not to bring this around to, a campaign or to an election, but that is the reason why we have them. That is the reason why the state was organized. It was organized in order to protect the people against outside forces, whether it be the federal government or anybody else, outside or inside, that is infringing upon their right. And one thing that we know we have a right is a right of conscience, and we have a right to communicate that conscience. And for them to say that, our, whatever is opposing their agenda or what they believe or even what they say is right, if we're opposing that, for them to say that is disinformation is just completely contrary to the foundation in which this country was established. So we need the state of Idaho to protect the people, the resources of Idaho to protect the people. But it's not going to happen with a weak legislature like we have. It's not going to happen with a general attorney like Wasden, who will protect the governor in his effort to basically infringe and to restrict people's rights to speech and so forth, which they've shown to do at the Capitol building many, many times. It's not going to happen with the Speaker of the House or a Lieutenant Governor like Scott Bedke. That's not going to happen. They will side with the federal government. They will work with Homeland Security because they have the same agenda as the Democrats. And they have that same ideological perception that the state should be there to control people and not to keep people free. So I offer you this and inform you and ask you to go to this link below. I'll post it right after this video and listen to what Tucker Carlson says about it and know that it is here, that there is a free speech police that is being organized right now by the Department of Homeland Security to arrest and to prosecute and to put your life through hell, living hell, because you speak out about what you believe. Now imagine, what if they declare, as they pretty much already have, that your belief in God is disinformation, that your um, belief in, homeopathic uh, remedies for, to heal yourself is disinformation. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I don't need to, point them all out. So this is a very dangerous thing. The Homeland Security has created a disinformation governance board, and they have been given the force of law to enforce it by arrests and by incarceration, by prosecution, and by long-term imprisonment. So be aware and understand what's happening and know that the state is probably our only chance and our own power right now to protect ourselves in a reasonable manner against these things. Thank you.